Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about grit. And grit is a positive trait that demonstrates a person's perseverance. This trait is most common in successful people, people that are wealthier in the society. So everyone who understands or learns grit becomes successful in almost all aspects of their life, whether it be financially, career-wise, relationships, all aspects of life. And so, what this means is grit is an important trait to everyone and should be taught in the earlier stages of development. So, like kindergarten, like earlier ages in education, to create a more successful generation, a more successful society. Grit calls for action because action is the energy behind your intention. Action is what fuels grit, what fuels, perseverance, law of attraction, manifestation, ideas like this. So what this means is it is necessary to call for action and not simply focus your intention. So you also take action by doing the necessary means in order to reach and achieve your goals. Now, the ill about grit is understanding how to implement it into society, as well as fully understanding what grit is and what grit means and what grit can do for you. So Angela Duckworth is the world's biggest expert on grit. Now, she's studied it in her college classes. She's done experiments on it, and we'll go into depth about the experiments later because they have proved to show results on grit. So she's the world's biggest expert, and as Duckworth defines it, as she defines grit is passion and sustained perseverance applied toward long-term achievement with no particular concern for rewards or recognition along the way. It combines resilience, ambition, self-control, the pursuit of goals that takes months, years, or even decades. Now, what this means is that a person must establish a reason to want to work, a reason to succeed or to overcome something. They must keep jumping over every obstacle that comes to them. They must persevere, basically. And now, grit is not commonly known among society, and that could be to blame either for successful people to experts such as Angela, only because, and I say this only because they know more about grit, and Angela is using her platform, but most successful people that know about this, they aren't using their platform to make grit a more known trait in society, a more known knowledgeable information to society. They're keeping it to themselves because they're afraid that if they tell society, they tell more people, they use their platform to really encourage grit in other people, that those people may grow up and be much more successful than them, maybe take their business. I think ideas like this, it's not entirely true, but it's something the human brain is afraid of and possibly does sometimes. Now, the only reason why I say it's possible to blame these people is because since we still don't know a lot about grit, that also means it's not necessarily anyone to blame, but if there were be to someone blame, it'd be these people specifically, okay? So the reason grit should be widely known is because it increases all aspects of a person's life. It increases serotonin, positivity, successfulness, and in turn it'll increase in education. It'll increase your marriage life, your training for military. Everything will increase and become for the better. Your grades, school, everything will just jump forward. Everything that you focus your energy on, everything that you focus your intentions on and your hard work on. So integrating grit into the educational system could be a likely solution to spreading the knowledge of grit. There have been studies, now this is not Angela's study, it's a different study. There have been studies done that children in kindergarten class or children at a young age, when they learn about the brain, like visually or auditory, when they learn and understand that the brain can change, can adapt, and can react differently in different situations, when they understand this, they're more likely to receive grit as a trait. So this means that if we implement this idea in the educational system, that we could possibly create a new generation that is completely ready to continuously fail until they succeed, because you cannot succeed without failing. You cannot succeed without learning. And that's what failure is. It's learning what worked and what didn't. Okay? So it could be implemented by teaching younger students about the brain visually or in other teaching ways, teaching styles. This is because when a person understands that the mind and brain can change and adapt, the person also understands that they can coach, they can train their brain to become more successful no matter how difficult it may be. Now, we're going to talk about another study that Angela did. And Angela, she realized that IQ wasn't the only factor separating successful students from those who struggled, and that grit, was highly predictive of success. So this is some research, this is some facts and some support to grit being successful and grit being important in everyone's lives. After this, she spent years analyzing short and long-term effects of grit on people's performance in school, work, relationships, and she came to the conclusion that nearly every realm of their life was successful if they had grit. And this can't be scientifically proven. It's a trait that we don't know yet how to control. We don't know yet how to implement. But it's important that we try and that we learn to implement this, because everyone can definitely benefit from this knowledge and information. So, and this can be said for everyone, because every person in their family, like my mother and my grandparents, everyone wants their family members to be successful and be happy and not struggle in life. Every parent wants the best for their kids. So if they can teach their kids about a trait and characteristic that make their child become great, make their child become successful. And not that success comes easily, but if they have this trait, it's the idea that it will be a little bit easier, because they understand that if they keep pushing and they keep working, it will happen. So grit is an important trait to everyone and should be taught in earlier stages of education to create a more successful generation and more successful society. And if you learned about grit and made it one of your characteristic traits, what are you able to accomplish with it? What are you able to succeed with it? What are you able to do and change about society, about life, about your life with it? Thank you.